I grew up being bullied and teased as a kid. I had warts on my fingers. I spent 12 years all through school in a lot of pain. I would sit alone in lunch. I would get tripped in the hall and my books knocked down. I would pushed into lockers, food thrown at me, not be invited to things, people not show up to my things, girls not be interested in me as I got older. The girls I was interested in, I completely messed up, no awareness there. So there was a lot of struggle, a lot of pain. I took it personally. I was in a victim mentality. I felt sorry for myself. I had thoughts of suicide and even revenge. I lived many years in a really dark place filled with hatred and anger and sadness and confusion and helplessness. So that set me out on a journey of pretty much about the past 15 years of my life to overcome that. And I studied all sorts of stuff, mostly in the holistic space. We didn't have a lot of money, so I was really focused on autodidactic stuff, on how could I teach myself? How could I learn these things from people that actually got results? And there's a lot of stuff you learn in the mainstream education system that doesn't necessarily get results. It's accepted, sure, but does it actually not only heal people, but help them make more money, have better relationships, happier life? Does it actually move the needle in people's life? And I found that a lot of it didn't. Even if it was helpful, it didn't necessarily cure. It didn't necessarily fix. It didn't necessarily do the thing all of the way. It felt a lot more like a Band-Aid. I was willing to do whatever it took. It was either my life or whatever it took to figure this out. So I studied Eastern philosophy, Western philosophy, psychology, spirituality, hypnotherapy, acupressure, plant medicines, neurolinguistic programming, coaching, reading books, seminars, to the east, to the west, anywhere. I was like, I don't have pedigree. I don't have anything. I'm willing to do whatever it takes. I'll try it. Oh, you think this will help? That sounds insane. That doesn't make any sense. Okay, we'll see if it works. So I was on this journey. I started a software company when I was about 18 years old, and I ran that for about 7 years. And during that time, I was learning all of this stuff. I was learning about entrepreneurship, self-help. Everything I was doing was about improving myself, about transforming, about healing this. And then eventually I got to a point where after 8 years of all of this stuff, 8 years of all of this fixing, all of this healing, all of this learning, I was homeless. This was after having a software company. This was after being published. And I was really disoriented. I was really confused. How could it be that after learning all of this stuff, after all these years of healing, that I cannot function in my life? I cannot function in the world. I'm sleeping in my car in Los Angeles. I'm having to transfer pennies from one bank account to the next in order to buy a can of soup to eat that night. This was after being successful, right? So it was very confusing, very disorienting because I had success. I was capable. And so I knew it wasn't that. It was like I was wiser and wiser, but less and less functional in life. I was more and more healed, but less and less able to relate to the world and to function in it. It would have been understandable if I was lazy, if I never did anything with my life, if I was on drugs. There was none of that. This was a choice at some level. But then why was I choosing this? The why is the real crux of it. It wasn't enough to have it up here. It needs to be in here. I knew all this stuff up here, but my body still had a life of low self-esteem, insecurity, trauma, fears, all of this stuff. The beliefs I had about wealth and abundance were up in my mind, but I didn't literally move through my body in an abundant way. I moved in my body in a poverty way, in a passive-aggressive way, in a resentful, scarcity way. When I made that discovery, that's when everything changed.